This is the book of Matthew, chapter 10. No, that's what I want first. Salakia. The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, and verse 1, and it reads, Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, point, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Jump into Matthew chapter 10. I'm going to start at verse 20, and it reads, For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. Verse 21, and the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father, the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved. Skipping up. Verse 34, Matthew 10 and 34, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace but a sword. Verse 35, for I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Verse 36, and a man's foes shall be they of his own household. I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to Kohaloyim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachak, with a spoken thumb. I want to say double honors to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone, who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. I say shalom to the Akim and the Aquat that they're listening and learning, Lord, willingly. This is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad and the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to the truth. To you, I'll say shalom. This is the brother Yahweh Sop out of the GMS Cleveland Church, a fellow servant. I'm coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh Shem Shah. This lesson is in regards to this article that I seen, and it moved me because immediately when I saw the title, it made me think of that scripture about a man's foe should be of their own household. Now, after scanning over the article, it's more to it, but just showing you how cold the Lord is, it made me think about an incident at my job. I work with this individual who's pretty much my supervisor, and they've been working at this company for years, and they pretty much work 6 days out the week, but they told me that how they've been working at this other job part-time, like 1 day out the week for years as well. And just so happened a particular day where they supposed to have been at the other job, because I guess they work at a bar. The job that I work with them at, the boss there asked them to, work a particular day because we work in like manufacturing. So they decided to do that. And at the bar, the individual that the person worked for, he was up in age and basically slipped and hurt himself to the point where, because of his age, his injuries more than likely are life threatening. And it just made me think about the power of Yahweh Shem Shah, because, here it is, a mother kicked out their child for whatever reason. Now when you read it, I guess she kicked them out along with the father and other family members. But that rash decision ended up putting that child in a position where they were raped and killed. And that's ultimately all judgment of Yahweh Shem Shah. And that's why you should ultimately fear Yahweh Shem Shah. It says 5-year-old Kansas girl raped, murdered after mom kicked her out of house. A 5-year-old Kansas girl was raped and murdered at a homeless camp in the woods after neighbors say her mother had kicked her and other family members out of their house, according to reports. Zoe Felix was found at a gas station with life-threatening injuries on Monday. According to the Topeka Police Department, she was taken to a hospital where she died. Mikhail W. Cherry, 25, was arrested on Tuesday and charged with murder and rape of a victim less than 14. He was being held on a $2 million bond. Neighbors said the suspect had at one point lived in the same house as Zoe, along with her father and sister. So that's crazy. So the individual that I guess was in the house that got kicked out with him ended up, raping him. And that's just showing you how these spirits are testifying too. I did a video yesterday. There's a Jake, a grown man dressed up in a woman's dress, but he was running around. They got all this footage of him where they looking for him. I guess I don't know if they found him, but I guess he attempted to attack two elderly women. But he walking around. He on subways. They got all this camera footage of him walking around with a hammer. And I was listening to the Elder Apostles live. They street preaching last Saturday, just yesterday, and he was going into how you could, how these spirits are active. You know what I mean? So it was a spirit that jumped on that individual because this is a person that lived with him. He ain't touched that child none of that time, but get out there in the woods and then. Now, I don't know, maybe he always planned on it. Maybe he thought he was going to get away with it, but nonetheless, spirits jump on people and jump off of them, you know what I mean? Neighbors said that Zoe had, I read that. The neighbors claim the child's mother kicked them all to the curb about 2 weeks ago, forcing them to live at a campsite about a mile away. Zoe had a turbulent life at home, according to neighbors who often saw the young girl running around unsupervised. Her community worked together to help keep her bathed, clothed, fed, neighbors said. They said she didn't attend school. That's deep. Yeah. The scriptures say, wicked man understandeth not judgment. Now you go sit here and see a child, but you don't know who that child is in the spirit. So with that being said, I'm still thinking about because at the end of the day, ultimately, the mother putting them out is what, what that, I mean, again, it doesn't necessarily say how old she was, or I don't recall how old she was. Oh, she was 5, so lucky. So who's to say how long they were staying together? But nonetheless, none of this took place prior, and they all stayed in the same residence. So it took for her to put them out. You know what I mean? It just, the series of events, how the Most High works through different events. Like with this whole, Israeli, Arab Israel conflict that's basically a massive. This is not a little thing. I was just telling some individuals at the at the laundromat this, because you got to understand, you got maybe that's why they got so bold, because of the fact now that they're dealing with the bear, and America is allies to, Israel. So, if you have a spiritual eye salve, you can see this is going to actually lead up to that Third World War called Loyam La Yahweh Shemel Shah, because this is proof that the Most High is working, visiting the earth which he made. But just made me think about something, and then to be raped and murder that young child, again, wicked man understanding not judgment, but it tells you in the book of Matthews, this is the Matthew chapter 24 and verse 12, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold, because of the sins and the constant transgression of sins, the sin upon sin, the love the love wax cold, meaning it to grow. Maybe if I found it in the blue letter. Try it. Psycho. Sucho. It says to breathe, blow, cool by blowing, to be made or grow cold or cool of waning love. Wax and wane. So, to grow. To be made or to grow. Cool or cold. Um, that's another scripture, Micah chapter 7. Micah chapter 7 and verse 5. Trust ye not in a friend. You know, and it made me think about that because this man was in the household with him. You know, it says, trust ye not in a friend, put ye not confidence in a God. Keep the doors of thy mouth from her that lieth in thy bosom. So you're not even supposed to, you know, like that pillow talking. You know what I mean? Like many of men have been brought low from talking to a woman. You know, it's funny because I was just talking to a guy at the laundromat, and we was going into different things. You know, his name is Isam, I believe, Isam. You know, and he was a Muslim. We were, you know, the conversation started with somebody else, but he jumped in it like Jake do. But it was spiritual. It was meant for me to speak to him because, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, like, my father's off into Islam, but called Loyim Layah Shimon I got the truth, you know. So we was talking about certain things, and you know how Jake in Islam is, he up there like, you know, that Bible. So I cut him like, well, it's funny because the religion you believe in actually acknowledged the people in my Bible though, you know. So, but at the end of the day, he ended up giving me his card. And he made a statement too, because it's funny too, because we going over Isaiah chapter 42, and it was talking about Yahushua being the light of the world to the Gentiles, you know. And he was like, you know, I might be looking and you could shine that light. You know what I mean? And then I was like, wow, that's spiritual, you know, because I'm not the light, Yahushua is, you know, to bring him out of that darkness of that wicked ass religion. But maybe the Lord is using me to kind of point him in that direction. And if that's the will of Yahweh Shem Shah, I will try to do my part. But he was going into wicked women, you know. It's just funny because, you know, when I say in the scripture, verse 6, for the son dishonoreth the father, the daughter riseth up against her mother, the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. So like a man's enemies are the men of his own house. That's the second time. You see how often the scriptures reiterate or repeat. And you seeing that now, you know, you saw that with COVID, you know, not the, well, it's out there now. You know, that whole situation, people didn't even want to you know, we was talking about that. Now, he was walking around with a mask on his face. Now, I didn't inquire to why, but he took it off once we got to conversing, and then he put it back on. But, you know, what I have noticed is a lot of older Jakes, well, the older individuals, period, like they are worried because they sold that as, you know, it basically could attack the older people more heavily, and that's just with any disease. So I could see why something like, I think he was in his 60s, so I could see him being a little cautious. You know, I remember I worked at a job when the whole, you know, pandemic, you know, took place, and it was a, you know, a union job at literally manufacturing as well. Now that I think about it, and it was a lot of older people that had been working there for years, and you know, it was this one individual. He was real, you know, because when they first came out, he was up there like how many people died. He was real adamant and upset. And I'm like, man, that ain't really nothing. He like, what? I'm like, when you take the time to look at the numbers of everything, and then come to find out, you know, how they was manipulating data and all that. You know, like I think a lot of people now have seen like, hold up, they ran a game. And then I learned something else about that too, because a lot of those Jakes that worked at that company was talking about how, I forgot what vaccination that they just put on them then. It was like, but basically it was a vaccination. Like, so that's why a lot of them Jakes just went ahead and didn't question and just took it because they looked at it back then. It was some vaccination that came out, like I want to say in the 60s or 70s, and it was like they just went ahead and, you know, the government basically kind of tried to do something similar, and they just went ahead and took it. So they looking at it like the same thing, but this one is different because you don't know what's really inside of you, you know. I read that. So, you know, pretty much, you know, I'm gonna end it with this. This is the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 3, and verse 1. Oh yeah, it made me think of Isaiah chapter 19, because Isaiah 19 and 2 says the Egyptian shall fight against Egyptian. You know, you know, well, you know, the Lord said He's gonna bring conflict. You know, division. You know, Luke chapter 12 talks about how he came not to bring peace but a sword. You know, he's bringing division. Mark chapter 3 talks about of kingdom cannot stand if it be divided. 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1 reads, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves." So people going to be vain, covetous, wanting what you have, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. Holy means to be separate. So unholy would be to be joined onto a world full of wickedness. I was listening to Elder Apostle Gabar in that last week's street preaching or street speaking ministry, or the ministry video, the camp video, Salaki, the elders camp video. And I often be saying, I be tired a lot. I used to be feeling like I do a lot. And I know brothers are extremely busy, but then my Eve, she be talking about how she be tired. And it just so happened this is my first opportunity to really listen to the video. So I'm listening to it while I'm, situating around the house. The elder was going into, once you come into this truth, you ain't gonna get no rest. And it cut me, and I think it should have cut her, and it's the truth of the matter, you're not. And then he said, well, why would you want to rest? And they brought up that scripture, depart from, for this is not your rest. I think that's Isaiah chapter 32. Rise up, you women. No, that's Isaiah 32. Salakia. I can't think of what scripture that is. Depart for this. I think that's Micah. This is not your rest. But and then he went into, why would you want to rest here in a world polluted with wickedness? So most of the world is joined on to a place full of wickedness. Verse 3, without natural affection. Just proving that with the whole situation with that little 5-year-old girl. That man raped and murdered her. Truth breakers, false accusers, incontinent, meaning lack of self-restraint, or lawless, which that little girl again, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High. And this place pushes that doest thou will spirit. That's why you got lovers of pleasure more than lovers of the Most High, because the Most High is speaking to individuals right now, but because people want to chase what's in the world, they won't hear, especially 2/3 of our people. And that ultimately is sealing your fate. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. So, you're going to see more horrific judgments. You're going to see more, betrayals of family. All these things were spoken of in the scriptures. I pray that the Lord keeps all of his hopeful elect, all those that sincerely believe, that do his will and his work. And I pray that they keep me, because I try to, do these things and those things. So with that, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to God, Lord Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua, Hashem, double honor to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone, who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing its truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwat. Akim and the Akwat out there listening and learning, Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribe to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Till next time I'm able to come with another lesson, I'm going to say shalom, shalom. Wath lababal, shalom.